This is WWE superstar Drew McIntyre, and you're listening to the WWE Podcast.
The champ is
the one that everybody wants, me.
It's going to WrestleMania. Claymore! Austin 316 says I just whipped your ass.
This is my iron. You're going to acknowledge me.
All right, everybody, welcome to the Monday Night Raw review here on the WWE Podcast. It is Tuesday, June 27th, 2023. We're going to talk Monday Night Raw, the final Monday Night Raw before the Money in the Bank event that's coming to you from London, England at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, just in case you weren't aware of WWE shoving it down your throat on Monday night and previous weeks. But weird time, right? Really weird time for an event. Obviously, it's because of the time difference. But yeah, I'm not sure. I will say this, if you're wondering if I'm going to be watching it live, in all transparency, I'll be visiting a relative, and I may be under the influence. So I don't know if I'm going to be able to watch it live. Can you catch my drift on this PG show? I may be incapable of being able to provide a coherent review. So that said, I will definitely by Sunday get you a review. I will try my best. Although again, it may not be the best state of mind I'm in. Although depending on your view, maybe it's a really good state of mind on Saturday. So just a heads up there, but I really will try to keep in touch with you guys still during this, during the event, because it's a big event. It's Money in the Bank, which WWE is trying to make it feel like not a B pay-per-view. They have done everything they can to make this feel like it's not an in-between of SummerSlam, and that it is a big deal, and it does feel like a big deal. And WWE has done a nice job of promoting the ladder matches, which I view as the most important matches on the show. And, we have the official preview and prediction show coming this week. We're going to bring on a previous co-host. You'll see who that is on Thursday. We'll be recording Thursday at 9 o'clock Eastern time. So we'll bring him on and have a fun chat about all the things that could happen at the event on Saturday. So thank you, everybody, for listening. Again, if you want to support the show, Patreon, WWEpodcast.com, WWEpodcastshop.com is a great way, or just hit that subscribe button on Apple. That's it, right? Or give us a 5-star rating. All great ways to support the show. Or follow us on Twitter at wrestling_audio. Or, hey, you want to search the WWE Podcast on Twitter, you can do that as well. We're verified on Twitter. We're the one that's got the blue check mark. So check us out there. All right. So an interesting Monday Night Raw. I thought it was a fun Monday Night Raw. Overall, I thought it was a solid show heading into the event. The first thing here that comes to my mind is the Dom and Cody angle, which to me has done its job and in some respects overperformed. And the heat for Dominick continues to roll. This is not fading out. It is becoming a trend, but one that I think people genuinely want to participate in. We have a fun dynamic here with Cody and Dom, which I'm kind of sad seems to be only slated for one event, as many people understandably believe that Brock Lesnar is on his way back at Money in the Bank to screw Cody, or shortly thereafter to get part 3 of Cody and Brock Lesnar that will lead us to SummerSlam in early August. So it does seem very likely that we will have a short-lived program for the time being of Cody and Dom. And again, it makes me a little bit sad because they work well off of each other. You have arguably the hottest heel and the hottest babyface on the show opposing one another. And it's a lot of fun to watch. Dom plays his part perfectly. And in some ways, if I was Dom, I wouldn't be so sad or angry or annoyed even that I get such good heat, which is a good thing if you're a heel, but that I can't cut a promo, because then it kind of allows you to not have to cut those great promos, because the second you put the microphone to your lips, the crowd boos you. So even if you mess up or stutter, the crowd's not listening to you anyway. They're trying to drown you out. They don't want to hear what you have to say. I mean, that is the biggest compliment that you could be given as a heel, but it also in some ways relieves you of the duty or responsibility or skill set to cut a great promo, because you know you're not going to have to cut a promo anyway because the crowd's drowning you out. It's a fun thing to hear, and if I was a Dom, I'd be a little bit relieved that if I wasn't super strong on the mic, that I don't have to cut a great promo because nobody's listening anyway, right? At the same time, I would still obviously develop my skills and be able to cut a great promo when the time comes. But the dynamic with Dom and Cody is fun. The cheap shots story has been really well told. Having Cody not be able to get a finger on Dom yet is a lot of fun. Being able to have Dominic continue to get 3 cheap shots in a row from behind, and the first one was a slap, like a little, you know what? I mean, that's more insulting than a punch, I think. And it makes you want to see Cody beat the holy hell out of Dom at Money in the Bank. Now the question is, of course, does Brock interfere during the match, after the match, or maybe not even at all on the show, and maybe it's the Raw following Raw the event, and that's when Brock comes back. But let's be honest, Brock's coming back. So, does Cody get some measure of revenge on Dom, or does Dom come away with the victory because of Brock? Or is Brock not involved at all, and Cody just outright loses to Dominic because of a low blow and help from Mommy? I mean, all these are possibilities, and it'll be fun to discuss on Thursday with my co-host. But I'm really enjoying this. The promos from Cody have been kind of tongue-in-cheek, though. It hasn't been one in which he's taking Dom seriously. Understandably, I know why he's doing that, and he's had some nice puns about, is he a mommy's boy or is he half the man his father is? Some nice play on words, and he's, Cody's always been good on a play on words, and this week referencing Cat in the Hat to bring things down to Dom's level because he's a little boy. You know what? In 99% of cases, I would find this to be very just menial, very kind of demeaning and not funny. But in this case, in this rare instance, it actually works with Dom. Referencing Cat in the Hat. I mean, how many times have people referenced Cat in the Hat? And the only thing I can think of even close is the infamous Suffer and Succotash that Roman Reigns uttered back in 2015. One of his many infamous, poorly executed promos when he was the big dog. But that's it. I mean, name another Cat in the Hat reference. So that was very unexpected, but I thought well placed, and probably won't ever be placed again. But well done. And having Mommy be almost the enforcer or the kind of a bodyguard for Dom is just such a little, it's such a swarmy, like just, demasculizing or emasculate thing to do, to have your woman have to protect you, and having to hide behind, your girlfriend. It's just, I mean, it's the most despicable thing you can do, but yet, I mean, she's a legit badass, so it kind of works. I don't know. This whole thing just friggin' works with Dom and Rhea. I would not have any plans on turning Rhea Ripley babyface until this Dom dynamic with her starts to burn out. I know many people view her as kind of a babyface in disguise, and in many respects she is. Fans are ready to embrace her, but the Dom effect is too strong right now, and it's too successful. And Dom coming out without Rhea, it doesn't feel right, Imagine just Dom coming out without Rhea right now. If they split, it wouldn't be the same. They're not nearly ready to break that duo up. So there's still a lot more fun to be had there. So good stuff. More cheap shots. Akira Tozawa versus Dom. That was funny. I mean, he chooses Akira Tozawa, who actually had a spot on the Hulu version of Raw for the first time in I don't know how many months. Akira Tozawa was, relieved of his 24/7 title coma and able to come out and play for the first time on Hulu. And it feels like 6 to 12 months and have a match with Dom and show what he can do. I mean, that's the biggest match Akira Tozawa has had in how many months against Dom. So, it's not a bad thing to bring Akira Tozawa into the conversation of not just being a joke, a joke of a wrestler, and putting him in something semi-serious. Put him in a tournament, put him in a battle royal. I mean, do something with him that's besides like just being an enhancement talent. So anyway, well played by Dom, well played by Rhea, well played by Cody. This is just a fun program that I wish could go another month or so. But all right. So beyond that, another really awesome thing I enjoyed on Raw, the promo from Finn. And this is the promo that I had envisioned Finn cutting in front of the crowd a few weeks ago in, what was it, Wichita or something like that in Kansas, where the crowd completely just ruined that segment. And I stand by that, ruined it by chanting Seth's song. So I said at that point, they're going to have to do a backstage promo or do a pre-tape promo to get the content out and tell the story that they want to tell without having to risk at all the crowd drowning out what Finn has to say. Because if they brought Finn out again, the crowd probably would have, done a monkey see, monkey do routine where they said, "Oh, Finn's back. Let's chant him out," and it would have been another awful segment. So they did the right thing. And you know what? I actually think this came out better than even if he was in the ring with no chance. This was well done, well executed, well told. And I think it really reinvigorated Finn's career. This whole Seth Rollins story that I don't know if it has multiple chapters. I hope it does, because we know how good of a worker Finn is. We know how good of a worker Seth is. Not good, great. Both men are. And how much history they have working with each other. There is absolutely zero concern of match quality. And you bring back that 7.5 years ago story where you can actually pull from that. And they remembered to pull from that. And they've built around that. And it has been enjoyable. And isn't it fun when they can pull from something 7.5 years ago and make it be plausible? That Finn has essentially been in a career coma since that point. And in some respects it's true, in others it's not. I mean, Finn has done a lot of relevant things since then. But things truly haven't really been to that level for Finn since that time of winning the Universal Championship and having to relinquish it infamously due to the injury. And having also WWE point out the exact moment in which Finn was snapped on Seth and buried that feeling for him for 7.5 years of having Seth laugh in the face of Finn at that time that he was injured, which I'd forgotten about that. I'm glad they brought that back up. This is just really simple, good storytelling. And I enjoyed the hell out of that promo. The whole reference of, you wanted that guy from 7 years ago. That guy is dead and buried. He's gone. And what you're going to get is far worse. I mean, it's all really just the lighting, the up close camera. And I think we've all forgotten, as great as the Judgment Day has been, admittedly way better than I ever thought or imagined it could be, especially since they ousted Edge, which I still have issues with, even as good as the Judgment Day has been. But as good as the Judgment Day has been, Finn has somehow kind of gotten lost in the sauce in that group. And for him to now be paired with Seth and cut the promo that he did, it feels like Finn Balor is back. It feels like his character is back. And he showed you how good he can be, not just in the ring. We all knew that. But on the mic. And when he wants to command presence and make himself believable, he can do it. And I've forgotten how good he could be because for a long period of time, he has been kind of a generic good to great worker in the ring, occasionally a decent promo, but just kind of the steady go-to guy, but never the standout. Well, on Monday night, he was the standout. The previous Raw, he was the standout. The only criticism I have is that Seth Rollins, given the beating that he took the previous week and then took on NXT, that he didn't show any sign of wear and tear. And he told us, but you couldn't even have had minimally taped up ribs. He admitted he's not going to be 100% for Money in the Bank. Okay, but if a dude, even the size of Finn Balor, jumped on your ribs, there's no sign of any kind of trauma? None? How many times he hit you with a chair in the ribs, coup de grace on your midsection, and there's nothing? I think not that he needed to sell that he broke 8 ribs, but say, hey, I have a fractured rib or bruised rib. I'd even accept bruised ribs, but show us, tape up your midsection even a little bit. That visual really sells it. Not just tell us that you're sore. Because if you don't look like you're beat up, I think it takes a little bit away from the beating that he took. So that's my only critique. It's not a massive one or one that's going to significantly affect the program for me, but it's one that is easily added. And I think they missed the boat on this to really maximize the story of Seth being injured. And maybe there's still time. I mean, it's perhaps that at the event, Seth will come to the ring with taped up ribs and then they can tell the story there. So there's still time to visually help us. I mean, visual aids are good, right? Visual aids more often than not help. So, but other than that, guys, I mean, this has been a fantastic program as well. I'm really enjoying this. Even more than I expected. And maybe we should say kind of a backhanded thank you to the Wichita crowd a few weeks back that completely crapped all over that segment that was just inexcusable, because I think we ultimately got a better and more impactful promo with the backstage pre-taped one from Finn this week, which I don't think we would have gotten if the crowd didn't go into business for themselves a few weeks ago. So, all right. Those are some good things. And let's see if we can keep this train rolling, guys. Again, I thought it was overall a good Raw. All right. Well, also, let's hop in here. We did get a women's Money in the Bank kind of conference or summit, whatever you want to call it. Just a meeting of the minds of all the contestants. And I thought it was fine. Everyone's entrance, by the way, except for Becky Lynch's, was not televised. Which, I mean, makes sense. You can't have everyone's entrance televised when it comes to this kind of segment if you're trying to save time. But just an interesting note there. But we did get a decent sell of the match here. We had Vega praise Lynch and said that Stratus has never been in a Money in the Bank ladder match, and said that she and Santos would win for the LWO. And then Stratus told them to calm down and said she saw a bunch of little girls and she's a woman and called herself the greatest to ever do this. And she's never been in the Money in the Bank ladder match, but winning is what she does. And then she talked us to Becky Lynch and said she can't call Lynch a girl or woman because, quote, you're the man or whatever. She questioned whether Lynch would be the man enough to thank her once it's all said and done. And Lynch didn't say anything. She just started a brawl, started beating on Stratus, and then Stratus and her crony there ended up beating down on Becky, who fought back. And we did get, at the end of this, Lynch climbing the ladder and grabbing the briefcase and unhooked it and stood up on the ladder and held it up. So is this foreshadowing, or is it more likely that this is just, you know, the typical whoever is doing the briefcase holding before the event is almost guaranteed not to win? I would imagine it's the latter, but I could see Lynch winning this. She's a candidate. She's probably the biggest star in the match. Again, I don't have an official prediction yet if you're looking for that, but I know Lynch isn't the favorite, but she's absolutely a candidate to win. Do I ultimately think she will? No, I have my another pick that I think I've locked in. But what was interesting is Lynch cross paths with Rhea Ripley backstage, and Rhea basically warned Becky, if you win and cash in on me, it'll be the last thing you ever do in this company. And Lynch just basically said, I want to see you squirm, and that I don't need the title needs me. It's like, first of all, I thought that was a bit disrespectful to the belt. You shouldn't ever feel like you don't need it, because otherwise, what are you doing here? I don't think that was the best comment in the world. It kind of made it feel like Rhea has something that Becky doesn't really need or want. It's just more about making Rhea squirm. It's like, nah, I did not like that comment. I think it came off a little disrespectful to the championship itself. But ultimately, I think, of course, we're going to get Lynch and Rhea, and it could come as soon as SummerSlam, where Becky doesn't win Money in the Bank, but she wins a number one contender spot in a tournament or a battle royal leading up to the event after Money in the Bank on Raw. And it's Lynch versus Rhea at SummerSlam. I think that's probably the more likely scenario. But we also saw more tension between Io Sky and Bayley that I think is going to play out in a big way at Money in the Bank. So that will be a lot of fun as we all kind of see where that's going. I mean, it's not even a question, but all right. So then Kathy Kelly interviewed NXT champion Carmello Hayes, and he said he was invited by Rollins and said it was an honor to be on Raw, and said he would take care of Seth's problem by taking out Balor. And he said that if he has to go out in a blaze of glory against Baron Corbin on NXT, that's what he'll do. And he said in order to take shots, you have to take shots in order to make shots, and he won't miss tonight. Decent promo. Yeah, just nothing that you'll ever really remember, but one that was effective and made him feel confident. So, all right. What else do we get? We got Gunther coming out to the ring, and he came out with Ludwig Kaiser, and it was Gunther versus Sami Zayn. This match came about backstage after Kevin and Sami interrupted the group of Imperium minus Giovanni Vinci, and they're the ones who said, "Oh, it's, you don't like it when someone interrupts you," and then they get in a squabble, and Kevin Owens again shows his lack of emotional control for some reason, is suddenly incapable of controlling his anger, which I know some of you enjoy. I understand it. I understand why there's an appeal to it. But I think less is more when it comes to that. But he's kind of just now adopted this hairpin trigger, emotionally unstable, retrograde emotional intelligence type of personality. And like, I know why people enjoy it. I see why people would think it's funny. I just don't. Again, I don't think it's embarrassing. It's just not my version of KO that I enjoy the most. He just flips out on the most, trivial things. And some of his comments are funny, but it's just not my favorite version of Kevin. If you enjoy it, wonderful. It's just not my thing. So anyway, it ended with Gunther and Sami Zayn in a non-title match. We did get Giovanni Vinci coming out on crutches, who distracted Zayn, and then Gunther put Zayn down with a suplex. Kaiser then greeted Vinci at ringside, and the finish of this match ended with Zayn setting up for his finish. He was distracted by Kaiser, who was on the apron, and then Vinci hit Zayn with a crutch. That's when Gunther powerbombed Zayn and got the victory in about 12 minutes. So Gunther beat Zayn. I don't have a problem with Gunther winning. I have a problem with how he's suddenly needing to win. As of late, he's needed his henchmen to win. I don't think that's how you want to promote Gunther. I like the more just traditional badass heel that, was a buzzsaw, and he, people didn't like him because he was so good, but so just arrogant, and he's he's got a mean face, and his entrance isn't sing along, and whatever weird reasons that people didn't like Gunther or booed him rather. I think that's the Gunther that was more effective than suddenly needing help. It's been a trend now where Gunther needs assistance to win matches, and I know it's Sami Zayn, but here's the thing. He's in a tag team. All right? He can suffer a one-on-one non-title loss. It's not going to hurt Sami Zayn. I would argue Gunther needs it more than Sami. And that version of Gunther that was not needing any help is a more effective one if at some point in the future you want to make him a world title contender and you remember, hey, when he was in a faction, he didn't need help to win. He's just a legit bad dude, So I hope it's not a continued trend with Gunther. Part of his appeal was that he was such a nasty SOB and he didn't need help from his cronies. That typically is the formula with heels. Typically, but it doesn't always have to be. Heels can win and win fairly and still be mega over as heels. So I think that's to me, a more effective way to promote Gunther, especially, he looks the damn part, He's got everything else working for him. Why are we trying to define him down by needing help? So, all right. Other than that, really good match. Let's see. We got Carmello Hayes and Finn Balor in a non-title match. The finish of this was Balor setting up for a shotgun dropkick. Hayes cut him off and then hit a springboard into a DDT for a 2 count. That was pretty cool. Balor regained control with a gut buster and then hit the dropkick in the corner, and Balor went up to the top and hit the coup de grace and got the victory in just under 10 minutes. So this was, I actually expected this to be a no contest or a disqualification because, you have your NXT champion who's on the cusp of a title defense. He's making his, his Raw debut as NXT champion. In a non-title match anyway. And was it his debut? I don't know. It felt like it was the first time I've seen him in a proper match with a promo on Raw. And Finn Balor also can't lose because he's about to go into a program with Seth for the World Heavyweight Championship. So to me, it was kind of one of those, they're going to put on a good match, but ultimately neither is going to really come away with the victory because neither can really afford to lose. Well, I was proven wrong. We got a finish to this match, and that finish was Finn Balor winning. I do understand it in one respect, where Finn is challenging for a championship that is defined above the NXT championship, and it puts more doubt in your brain that Finn may be able to beat Rollins at Money in the Bank. At the same time, Carmello Hayes is no pushover. He's the NXT champion. And it wasn't a squash match. It was competitive, but I don't even think it was as competitive as it should have been. And it just felt like, oh, that's it? Okay. Again, not a squash match, and maybe they just didn't have enough time to tell the story. Maybe additional time would have helped. Maybe a 12 to 15 minute match would have helped, but 10 minutes, maybe that was the problem. If not, it just felt like, oh, okay. I guess Carmello Hayes is taking the clean victory or clean loss here. So, I don't know. Let me know how you guys felt about that. I felt a little weird about it. All right. Cody Rhodes and Damian Priest. This match, I think, well, let's see. Look at the time here. I'm looking at how long this was. 13 minutes. 13 and a half minutes this match was. And, Cody Rhodes has yet to put on a stinker of a match. No matter who he's in the ring with, he just continues to put on good to good to good, sometimes great matches. And, it's a credit to Cody. Cody has so far proven himself. While I still feel very strongly about his babyface character being something I don't particularly enjoy, I think it's a little too clean cut about making jokes about being cheap shotted 3 damn times and wearing suits and using big words when he doesn't have to. And now this week he's petting a dog as if it's supposed to be relatable, or it's supposed to show empathy, or it's supposed to show that he's a dog guy. I'm a dog person. Cool. I guess we have something in common. I just don't like that kind of stuff. I mean, next week, what is he going to be doing? Kissing babies? I mean, it was a little weird. Has anyone ever been petting a dog backstage? I've been watching wrestling since '97. I don't think I've ever seen anyone in a segment on Raw where the camera cut to the person just petting a dog. And why was the camera cut to that anyway? That is weird. I know they were doing an interview, but I don't know. It was a little too transparently heartwarming for me. I hate that gushy crap. And then he's like smiling like he's doing a photo shoot. That's the stuff that just turns me off. I know some of you don't care or find it endearing, or I'm a dog person. Well, good for you. Okay, I don't need that stuff in my wrestling. But hey, I'm a cynical SOB. Anyway. So back to the match. Damian Priest, to his credit, I think also did his part. Damian Priest continues to show himself main event worthy when it comes to in-ring competition. His character may not be fully fleshed out yet. I mean, I don't think we know everything about Damian Priest yet by a long shot. Damian Priest is still in some respects kind of two-dimensional, which, I mean, I don't expect a fully polished performer yet, but he's not a young guy, and he does need to kind of strike while the iron's hot, and he does do well in the ring, and he's done well in the ring in main events on Raw for several weeks that he's been given that opportunity. And in the World Heavyweight title match against Seth, I think he did very well. And in this matchup here with Cody Rhodes, he's working with top talent here. I mean, he may not be winning, but if you're a Damian Priest fan and you want him elevated to the next level, I mean, he couldn't really work with any bigger talent on Raw than these two guys. And he's done a hell of a job. And they're giving him not just 5 minutes. I mean, they got 13 minutes. That's a long main event by today's standards. And I mean, that said, the flip side is, well, he may want to find a new finish, because his finish consistently is getting kicked out of with South of Heaven, the choke slam, essentially. But having Cody only use one finish is good instead of 3 in a row. I've criticized that, and maybe he's taking to my words, but I'm glad that is a thing, and that finishers actually finish matches outside of Damian needing to find a new one. But overall, this was a good match. The Cody Cutter was well done, and it ended with a crossroads, as I mentioned, for the victory. Cody was celebrating afterward. Dom ran in and hit him from behind, and then fled again ringside with Ripley and Priest. And, that pretty much ended Raw. And that would lend you to believe, or tip you to believe, that Dominick's going to get his ass kicked on Monday Night, or on Money in the Bank. But I wouldn't be so sure with Brock Lesnar's shadow looming, right? Again, I'm not sold yet on whether Brock's going to show up, or if Dom will get his ass kicked and maybe Cody gets a clean victory. Who knows? But either way, a very solid edition of Monday Night Raw. Going through my notes here, I did have, was it complaints? The rib thing, the tape on the ribs of Seth, or the lack of tape on the ribs of Seth, was something that I kind of was a bit perplexed by. It's just a missed opportunity there, and maybe they'll rectify that on Saturday. But overall, again, good stuff. Easy to follow Monday Night Raw. One that was just kind of smooth sailing for the most part. The only match that this actually did not appear on the Hulu version of Raw, and that was Ronda Rousey and Raquel Rodriguez with Liv Morgan. And we did get a very quick match here with Ronda defeating Raquel. So what had happened is, if you didn't see it, I'll read you the final moments of this match, which, given it was 2 minutes, is essentially the whole match. Rousey hit the ankle lock. Raquel escaped the ankle lock. And then Rousey went for an armbar, but Rodriguez powered her up and slammed her to break it. Raquel followed up with a fallaway slam, and then Rodriguez went for her corkscrew dive from the ropes, but Baszler moved Rousey out of her path, and Morgan attacked Baszler, and then Rousey rolled up Raquel for a 3 count. So the dreaded roll-up strikes, but in this case, makes sense. I still don't understand Raquel's pose. Are we all supposed to be impressed by a large flat back? When she comes out, she just flexes her back like she's in some kind of fitness competition, and we're all supposed to see how defined and toned her back is. But I mean, I guess for a woman, it's muscular, and she is physically imposing, and good for her. Legitimately, she is a strong woman, and that's great. But it's, I don't know. I guess when compared to other talent, it is not the most, impressive muscular back. You look at it, you're like, where am I supposed to look to be impressed right now? You're kind of searching around. That's how I feel with Raquel, and it feels not babyface-esque. I've said that before. Raquel is tailor-made for a heel. I mean, anytime they want to pull the trigger, by God, they could. And perhaps with Raquel, with the crowd not being super behind Raquel consistently, and they're kind of reading the tea leaves here, when you have a physically imposing babyface woman, it's difficult to keep her babyface because she has such an advantage physically that it, not just her personality, which screams heel, and her stupid smile. And I say stupid, I don't mean that in a bad way. She does have a nice smile, but it's almost an arrogant smile that she has naturally. Everything about her screams it. And they're doing everything they can to try to keep her babyface for the time being, because that's the role they need her in. But at any time, I think Raquel could turn on Liv. And then I think you're off to the races. And that can actually happen as soon as Money in the Bank. I mean, Raquel and Liv, if they lose, and I think they will, hint, hint, perhaps Raquel finally snaps on Liv, and we're off to the races with the Liv versus Raquel matchup, and Liv, or rather Raquel, is finally heel. And then you got your nice dynamic of the smaller babyface against the monster heel, and how does she fight against it? And it's just a better dynamic, man. I don't know. That's just how I feel about it. And of course, Ronda Rousey belongs as a heel too. And Rousey, to be honest, here's the thing: I'm glad they unified the women's belts, as long as they have a plan for them. Fewer belts is always my goal, generally. But Ronda Rousey, just when you single her out, she has really fallen off a cliff, has she not? And I don't mean in the ring. I don't even mean on the mic. For those, she's kind of remained steady, right? She is who she is. She's a weird person. She just is strange. She's an all-world athlete. We know her accomplishments in UFC. Nothing taken away from her there. Do I like her on a personal level? Do I think I'd ever be friends with this woman based on what I've seen, from quote unquote real life? No. She seems very intolerable to me, or insufferable. Just, for a lot of things. I'll leave that as is. But that doesn't mean that she's bad in the ring. I think, in fact, she's very good in the ring. She does bring an element of star power. But all of that said, it's weird to say that she's gone off a cliff when her matches have been decent when she does wrestle, and she's wrestled on free TV, and she's got the tag team championships, unified tag team championships, first ever, and her promo skills are about the same, still awkward, but also she's got a magnetic personality, but also awkward. It's a very strange combo. So that's all fine, but also at the same time, it feels like she's gone off a cliff. So how is that possible when all of the metrics or all of the attributes that she has brought to the table have remained the same or improved in some ways? And I don't know how to describe it. Maybe it's her star power itself that's fading. the novelty of bringing Ronda Rousey into wrestling has more than worn off. Her run with the SmackDown Women's Championship at the time that she just wanted desperately to call the SmackDown Championship, it really was a bad run. Just an awful run with her as champion. And that didn't help. Her awkward promos, the kind of in between, is she a babyface or is she a heel? Fans didn't know how to feel. That didn't help. And again, Ronda Rousey hasn't competed in a UFC ring in 6 years. It's been a long time. So I think, you can revive Ronda Rousey. I'm not saying she's a lost cause by any means. And just because my personal feelings of her are negative doesn't mean that I don't think she has value in the wrestling industry. Quite the contrary. Ronda Rousey is a special star that does not come along very often, especially with women. This is not the UFC, like MMA and women and stars that come from MMA and the women's division is a relatively new phenomenon. Now, not that fighting hasn't been women haven't been able to compete in fighting, but it hasn't really come to the main stage or been really, since Ronda left even, been a focal point for a lot of MMA fans. It just hasn't. But Ronda is still the biggest name to come out of it. And I think you could still leverage that star power with Ronda if you do something significant with her. Now, what is that? I still believe Becky and Ronda need to come face to damn face. This is that is an untold story that could bring back some fun feelings between those two that are unresolved. And they're both in the proper roles. Becky's a baby face and we have Ronda as a heel. Okay. So they're both there. I understand she's a tag team champion right now. Ronda is. That's immaterial. Those, until they actually show me a lot of consistent respect for the tag team belts, I'm not too concerned about it. And also, they could drop the belts at any point, right? And then Ronda could go on her way, and maybe they will. But it's just something that's weird to me that you have somebody of the caliber from a star power perspective in the women's division of Ronda Rousey. And yes, she's a tag team champion, but they just haven't really got her back to where she was WrestleMania 35, when she was in that triple threat with Charlotte and Becky. And maybe that's an unfair standard to expect them to bring her back to. And maybe they'll never reach that feeling again. But maybe the star power is gone. I mean, I don't know. That feeling of gotta see Ronda Rousey is kind of gone. And you hear the reactions to Ronda's music when she comes out. There's kind of a mild cheer or just general noise. You're not sure if it's booing or cheering because I don't think fans know what to do. It's just like Ronda Rousey's gone to sleep. Yet she's the champion. I don't know. Anybody else? Can anyone else explain this in a better, more coherent manner than that? Maybe you can. It's just weird. So anyway, I did not expect to spend the last 10 minutes of the show talking about Ronda Rousey, but I did. And I want to remind you guys, tomorrow is the mailbag. Mr. and Mrs. Casual Wrestling Fan, I'm hopeful will be here, but I will confirm that. If they don't, then of course I will be here, as I always am every Wednesday outside of the PLE weeks to do all of your emails and voicemails. So it may be Mr. and Mrs. Casual Wrestling Fan. It may not be. So we'll find out. But if not, then mailbag tomorrow. And then Thursday night will be our official preview and prediction show for Money in the Bag, and a co-host that you will find out a little bit later on. So thank you, everybody, for listening. If you want to support the show, give us a 5-star rating on Apple Podcasts or anywhere that podcasts are available and available to rate. Spotify is great, too. I know a lot of you listen on Spotify. Give us that 5-star rating on Spotify, please. Do it now. I'll wait. You don't think I'll wait? Watch how long I wait. Ready? See the silence? It's deafening. Hit that damn 5-star. All right. Now that I just turned a lot of those 5 into 1 stars, and I'm shooting myself in the foot, I will talk to everybody tomorrow for the mailbag. And until then, take care. Talk to you guys next time.
Thanks for listening to the WWE Podcast. Don't forget to subscribe on your favorite podcast app so you don't miss a show, or head to WWEpodcast.com. And for all of these shows ad-free, head over to patreon.com/WWE Podcast. Until then, we'll see you next time.